DJ now utilizing kind of that rapid fire SMG, does have a remote explosive as well, immediately topping off to the effective 200 HP, and then probably gonna go hunting here.
Yeah, looks like he's going to try and find him. We saw what happened first game, Scope going down. Obviously, Scope building quite a name for himself rather quickly in the scene over the last 6 months or so, performing very, very well in a bunch of team game modes, obviously with Tfue, and performing very well as a solo player, being known as one of those incredibly smart controller players, rotating insanely well. Honestly, like, for me, mind-breakingly well. When I watch people like Colazo, AV, ooh! DJ coming down and finding an insane beam on ICV, and now we got DJ trying to make his way away because he's been beamed back, but that was a very big, very fast elimination. I did not see that coming so quickly.
And then you saw Nut rotate over, but we're going to hop on board here with Azures versus Walkman. Azures has all the pressure here. Looks like the editing fight going his way, and Walkman, no return damage at all. However, it looks like we have 1 or 2 players lurking nearby on this.
The bushes, you got one near the broken
come on.
car
One of the best areas to drop on the map.
I think it is.
One of the best areas to drop on the map.
Guaranteed heavy sniper, guaranteed minigun with henchman chest to get guaranteed shield, but unknown going down to tilt. A little bit west of Slurpee. He's actually found himself pretty far from Slurpee pretty quickly. I have to think he maybe got pushed out of Slurpee.
And as we say, somebody no stranger to close range fights, Sway, who scored nearly 80, I think it was 80+% of his points in the reboot round on eliminations now, yet to find a point here in the early match. Now down to 4 builds, does have the Midas drum gun, does have a ton of extra shields as well, and the drum gun will just barely be able to bail him out of that fight. 12 HP coming through, going to be able to top off.
When you're versing some of these really good players and there's so many eyes on you, going for those big fancy high ground retakes is actually sometimes worse than when you think about people like Booger, who revolutionized the box fight tactic. Just sit in your box and take a fight at close range. Third partying becomes harder. You have a lot more control. It's just not as risky. And ooh, we see Neon picking up such an easy elimination on Jay, doing so well to kind of stretch his lead out here or maintain it with not a fancy play, but very, very good attention to what's happening around him, thinking maybe if I box up here, take one little tiki tag and he gets the elim. But also worth noting, he boxed up. He didn't leave himself exposed like we've seen so many players that you commented on earlier in game 1 going down to kind of silly mistakes.
Yep, and in order to get the eliminations, you have to take the shots. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, but now Scopes trying to miss none of the shots here. He has that Brutus minigun making it sing. However, kind of hitting that maximum fire rate, so going to be pushed down there. Does need to be careful of the light ammunition. Has enough to make it through early on up to the 250, so plenty to work through the early builds, but also doesn't want to necessarily gimp himself for this mid and early game because he's not going to have a ton of opportunities to really kind of refresh back into it. And Scope desperately, after going down so early on last game, really wants to pick up an elim here. It's tough when you go for an ambush like that and then don't immediately convert, because, like, what are you going to do? Be like, surprise, I'm engaged in a fight, and then leave? Like, you're both in the zone.
Yeah.
You're kind of committed to this fight. Like, you need this refresher, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, as I've been watching Scope for quite a while now. Last time when he was playing, he got quite tilted, posted on Twitter that he's not having the tournament. This isn't his tournament. I don't want to play this anymore. And then ended up winning the whole tournament. So obviously someone who can bounce back from having a rough start. Takes down Mikey, who had a phenomenal start in game 1. Not such a good game in game 2. And yeah, definitely. And Arab, knowing for being that big brain player, so that's why he prioritized the islands. I know he's been talking about it leading up into these games, that he wasn't actually going to drop here anymore. He was trying to change it because a lot of people were here, but I know coming into this from talking to Arab personally, he had a lot of confidence in this drop. He knows this drop, and it goes into his kind of smarter gameplay with doing stuff like this, baiting out the bush. The stair comes out and he just waits. No, the bush gets broken, so he now knows he's here. His surprise has been ruined, but he takes the wall and he goes out. And there's certain drops that are going to work to your different strengths. Arab is a smarter player. This is one of his strengths, and he can outplay people like that. He can bait them into having the advantage on his back foot.
Be safe on your rotation, but the person who did wait and caught the player in rotation because they were aware, like Azures here, able to check the side, get the couple early shots, and begin pressuring forward, they're going to get the one who ultimately walks away with the elimination points. Azures continuing the aggression forward, however, getting traded back a little bit, needs to think if he really wants to double down on this fight, as they are towards the outside of that circle, and zone is about to start moving.
Yeah, he got the 70 wide tag, so he's got to have this play on the back foot. Just trying to find his way through if he can, and there it is, and it's Stretch. One of those players that has been so insanely consistent through every week of solos so far.
It is also my mom's birthday, so going to give a quick little personal shout out there. Happy birthday, Ma. I'll clip that for you at some point. But hopping on board here with overtime polarized up on the high ground. trying to make sure he's well above not only the Storm Surge threshold, as he's sitting at 381, but making sure he's in a position where if he does have to rotate immediately after this, he's not going to be overly threatened. So wants to make sure that little scarecrow above him, the empty build, is actually empty before heading a little far more centrally.
Can't brush past that one. Happy birthday, Mama Sundown. That is adorable. Yeah, see, ooh, polarized play. Ooh, not really as much of an adorable play here. The heavy snipe straight into the body shot takes down Eclipse, one of those names you were talking about as having such good performances in solos, and unfortunately here today goes down game 2 to Polarize, who's just getting his first points on the board. He's gotten 2 eliminations this game, taking him from 2 points to 10 so far.
Can sometimes struggle to really put up that final performance and pull it all together for the W. However, sitting okay right now. 40 above in terms of the Storm Surge with 20 players, or with, excuse me, with 2 players who need to go down. Those 2 20-plus tags will put him well above. And the thing that's really hurting here is his lack of extra shields. Ooh, and a great shot onto Haft, and he's immediately going to sprint over to that and see what can I get from it with only his gray tack.
Struggling a little bit today again, only been a game and a half, 1 point on the board. We saw him go down to Unknown Army last time and maybe changed his rotation path. His Unknown Army went down early, but maybe Zate just avoiding that completely as Arab picks up another elimination in the feed, taking down Starving Aiden. So that's 2 eliminations for him, and Zum caught sleeping, gets the very nice open tag, and then Zum places the walls but doesn't place them close enough, and Zate just gets a freebie. Yeah, he's trying to get in your box. So far, there's only one wall holding him out from being in your box. He's now in your box, but you've gotten out of it. So Bully trying to find his way through this one. It won't take him long to get in the box, and there it is. Takes him a couple seconds. Really nice play. Harpoons the floor to instantly break it. Walks up to it by crouching under it, but then stands up, which means that when the other player tried to place the floor, he's phased through and he gets a free tack shot, and that's all he needed. Really, really well played by Bully to get in your box there.
Just trying to get aggressive and get into one of these old boxes. Now turning around, using the drum gun, putting as much pressure on this opponent as I can. His opponent now recognizing the drum gun's there, and Weigel just barely going down. Yeah, talk as much trash on the dude as you want. Every single time he's pushing into a box, I at least see him reverse editing the cone so he can't get immediately flown on. So I'll give him props to that. That's more than 95% of competitive players. As Stowe, with a absolutely brilliant cone on top of Rogue Shark, edits him down and drops him into the storm, picks up the floppers for it as well, but now he kind of needs to haul a little bit as he's on the edge of the storm. Does have the flopper to kind of save himself and give him a little bit more wiggle room to work with as the zone does settle, and honestly, manufacturing a little bit there, but with the 27 builds, he's going to need to find another pick or just be really, really, really patient because, Aussie, your worst fear has come true.
Yeah, it's gone straight across that mount now. This is going to be a very hard zone for players on low mats like that. We see Kalazu looking around against someone who dropped a near here, so maybe has a decent amount of mats. Same with Scoped up there. Illist in a really good spot, has Sizzlucky directly above him. So these players are looking really good. They have that advantage. They're already at the vertical limit for that mount, so they can just tarp straight across. These players I'm seeing down the bottom, like Zucky, like Knight, like Elige, Mega, they're going to need to make their rotate. Durant trying to put some pressure in the sky, and that he does. Clicks also in this game, picking up an elimination on Bank, and Durant gets straight in his box, so he gets 2 eliminations. Does he make it 3, or does he go down? No, he makes it 3. He picks up 3 eliminations. That one was on Neon, who was our leader after game 1. So Neon going too aggressive here and going down. And Durant, who is in 2nd place, now picks up 3 eliminations, one of them on first. So that is a huge turn for this tournament.
That was massive. Absolutely. Like, we've seen him get in positions of being able to capitalize on those launchpad rotations plenty of times before. But Neon just going straight gung-ho into the box. Durant being able to trade it out. Calc picking up an Elim there, as we see Alish also going down, closing on the top 30 as we go down the backside of the mountain. Now the real question is, do we go back up the mountain? Because if so, all the people up here on the high ground are going to have the advantage as we hop on board here with the calculator himself trying to make plays, working from the top down as we do go back up the side of the mountain. So sorry to everyone on the low ground who just burned all of your utility. You drove the short straw. You can now burn everything to try and get back up as Calc eats 2 huge bullets from Polarize. He's going to go down there. Sway is going to pick up Plague, so made it into the end game, and as I say that, Vexy picks him down. Polarize now rotating around the front side of the zone. You see Krem's a little bit behind him. Scoped sitting underneath that. Illist just above, actually holding ultimate high ground right now, Ozzy.
He had high ground before the zone even went up the mountain, so just beautiful positioning so far from Illist. He's played this one so well, and sometimes you just need the inventory and you need the loadout to even get into that position, but Illist clearly had that. He has the high ground. Kanata making a short pad onto front side. We're seeing some big names in here. I see RBK, Big Brain still in there. We see Coop, who obviously previous teammates, Durant, Nuts, Stowe, Jack. We got some big names, but Illist trying to put down some pressure from the high ground, but even without pressure and eliminations, he's just getting free placements. He's avoiding all of this that's beneath him right now. No one is looking at him. We haven't seen that grappler come out into effect yet. Anyone trying to take it from him. Kanata takes down Crims. 28 points for Illist. I have to think, unless he has a massive misplay, he's going to jump up quite high, and Kanata picks up another elimination with Scopes taking down Mega as we push towards this top 10, and we have so many big names. Arab going down, unfortunately. Kanata going down to Stowe. This is now top 10. Every single player that goes down, everyone else is going to receive guaranteed placement points. This is where you really want to hold on for as long as you can, as Illist right now in a great position to apply pressure from above, but there's so many old builds that he can't find his way in, but he's just getting more and more placement points for free. He has 20 builds, 4 floppers, 6 minis. We called it last game. We almost jinxed it for Neon, but you'd have to think Illist is going to be able to close this one out as he takes down Scoped, a big shark in this lobby, and we haven't seen the grappler come into effect. I want to see if someone has that. Maybe Jelty, from what I just saw from that movement. Jelty might have that grappler to be able to take Illist high ground, but without that, this is going to be a very hard game to take from Illist.
Which he should just be able to work top down. I mean, this rotation going back and forth over the mountain is so absurdly frustrating if you're not able to control the same space as Jelty is able to pick up Coop, and particularly because it's gone kind of not necessarily on the same axis. It's just given the player who had the most materials, which effectively has been Illist, working the top down, the advantage here, but now he's going to be forced to look back out in the storm. Does have the floppers to pick it up, but this zone is an absolute nightmare.
This is an absolute nightmare to find his way down here. Illist, 4 players alive. Someone dropping down in front of him, and 2. Harpoon comes out trying to break them down. Illist only has 1 build left. That's it. He drops down, goes all the way to the very bottom. Illist going down to 4 damage. The high ground ended up being his demise. He got a lot of points from it, but now Stowe has the high ground. Polarized, Assault having their fight down there. Assault goes down to Polarized. It's a 1v1 situation. Stowe has the rockets in hand. Can he make the play? He's trying to thread them down. He has 12 rockets in the legendary RPG. 25 builds, 3 eliminations. Can he make it 4 to close this one out? He gets knocked down. He goes down shotgun to shotgun in midair. He takes the shot on Polarized and closes this one out before he hits the ground. 4 eliminations, and
it looks like Neon from first is now in second with Durant contesting there. Stowe is put all the way up into 3rd place after just his 2nd game.